Thank you, Jim, and thanks to all of you for being here. Yeah, we played in Sardinia last night with the Yellow Jackets, and my horn is cold, but I'm warm. I'm warmed up. I mean, we've been playing every night for, I think in 3 weeks we had 2 nights off, and it's just been fantastic. And these kind of situations where you get to play every night is where things really start to happen and progress, where you can work on things, you know. I mean, there's only so much that one can do in a practice room. But when you get up on a bandstand, that's when, you know, you kind of have to do something. And in that setting where you're interacting with other musicians, you can really find yourself, so to speak. And it's just been great to play every night. And I mean, for a month before that, I was just teaching for a month. And, you know, after a month of that, I thought, you know, I need to start practicing what I preach. And it was great to actually do what I was talking about rather than just talk about it. Although I bring my horn to school and I play with my students. So just to get some of the technical stuff out of the way, this is the Eastman 52nd Street tenor. You might ask, well, what's a guy who's played old vintage Mark VIs for the bulk of his career doing with this horn? And I'll tell you how it all happened. I met the Eastman people through my collaborations at the University of Southern California. They came down there with a bunch of horns, and very nice folks. And I tried the horn, and it was one of those horns where it felt good immediately. And I just thought, wow, that's really interesting. And it was very different than the Selmer that I had been playing. I have an old 56,000 gold-plated Mark VI. That's a wonderful instrument. But there was something about this horn that really was attractive and felt very comfortable and different. The sound was different. I don't know if any of you have played on any of the old Conn 10Ms, but there's a certain character to those instruments that are just unmatched in anything, you know, recently manufactured. But I still wasn't ready to give up my association with the Mark VI, so I just told them it's a great horn and I'm happy to play it intermittently, but I'm a Mark VI guy. So, and but they were very cool about it. And what we did was, you know, rather than me saying, I love this horn, I play this horn, which would not have been exactly the case, they had enough integrity to say, well, what would you feel comfortable presenting, you know, if you wanted to be a representative for Eastman? I said, well, honestly, if I were to buy a new saxophone, it would be an Eastman, because this really is the best of the new horns that I've tried. So anyway, so it went, and we had a tour in Japan for about 2 weeks, and there's an airline over there that's not very friendly about carrying instruments onto the plane, and I had a big scene with them on a prior trip over there, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to bring the Eastman just so I don't have to, if you know, God help me, I have to check the horn. It won't be my gold-plated Selmer, you know. And so I went over there, and after playing for 2 nights, I realized I really liked this instrument. And what I liked about it was I could hear myself more clearly. I felt like I was able to lock in pitch-wise better than on the Mark VI somehow. And this was the case in small rooms and large rooms, both. And after playing the horn for 2 weeks, I never went back to my Selmer. That was 5 years ago. And I've been playing this ever since. And it's the craziest thing, but every year I just feel more at home with this instrument. And it's a little darker than Mark VI's, but it has this wonderful personality where you can go from dark to bright, loud to soft, and really create variety and texture in what you play. And of course, that's the real trademark to a stylist with the saxophone, you know, to have variety, right? Because we get very consumed with our choice of notes and sort of execution of things. We forget about the actual treatment of the sound, the notes, you know, the detail, the articulation, the expression, expressive devices, you know, vibrato, doing things with pitch, doing things with attack, sustain, decay. That's what creates your sound. You know, people say, how do you work on sound? Well, it's all these things, you know. You work on, you pay attention to all the details, right? Anyway, for example, if you were going to try an instrument, I mean, one of the first things I would do would be to play one note, very soft and covered and dark, and then just gradually crescendo and play brighter, right? So it might sound like this. And what you accomplish by doing that is you get a sense of how much timbral variety you can get out of the instrument, you know. And that's what I do. That's one of the first things I do. The second thing I do is I check the tuning, and I just play arpeggios. And that, you know, playing simple and very, you know, basic intervals allows you to really hear the way a horn tunes, you know. And of course, we want to be able to play in tune, and not all saxophones are in tune. So, but I will say that the Eastman horns I've tried, and I've played many, because in my work with Eastman, sometimes I'll find myself at a convention and I maybe didn't bring my horn, so I'll just grab a horn off the rack, and they all play well, you know. They're very consistent horns. Anyway, I'll play a little something. I'll let you guys decide what you think about it.
Thank you.